Let's unpack this. We are definitely stepping into this really exciting time where AI is just changing work so fast, right? Automating tasks, boosting efficiency. But, with these powerful new capabilities, especially these AI-powered agents popping up in Microsoft 365, well, they bring totally new challenges. And if you're listening, you're probably trying to get your head around how organizations can actually manage these things. Maybe you've got a meeting coming up or a project, or maybe you're just like really curious about where this is all going.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here, I think, is that while these agents, they offer just immense potential, they also bring up some complex questions, around security, data access, compliance. It's a lot.
It really is.
So our mission today really is to try and cut through some of that complexity for you. We're going to dive into the strategies and, importantly, the tools Microsoft provides to actually govern these agents. The goal is making sure they boost productivity, yes, but without compromising your security posture. And just so you know, this deep dive, it's directly informed by a pretty detailed white paper for IT pros. But we're pulling out the key insights, the practical bits, just for you.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need. So let's start right at the beginning. When we say agents in the M365 world, what exactly are we talking about? Because it sounds like it's not just one thing.
No, definitely not.
That's the
It's
joke.
a spectrum, really. You've got agents built with fairly intuitive tools, things like SharePoint or the new Copilot Studio Agent Builder that's right inside M365 Copilot.
Okay.
Then you move up to the full Copilot Studio, and even, the heavy-duty pro developer tools like Team Toolkit and Azure AI Foundry.
So quite a range. And here's where it gets really interesting for governance, I think.
Mhm.
Who is actually building these agents? Because that must change how you manage them, right?
Absolutely. You've had a crucial point there. The white paper really emphasizes this. It outlines three main groups of people, and their capabilities are different, which, yes, shapes the governance you need.
Okay, so who are they?
First, you've got your everyday end users. Think of, anyone using M365 daily. They might use SharePoint or that agent builder, often just starting from a Copilot chat to automate something simple and reusable for themselves.
Right, like a personal assistant.
Exactly. And the key thing here, their agents operate totally within their existing personal permissions. So if the user can't see a file, their agent can't either. It inherits their access.
Okay, that's a critical safety net.
It is. Then, moving up, you have makers.
Hmm.
These folks usually have a bit more technical understanding. They're typically using the full Copilot Studio.
Right.
They can build more advanced agents, maybe even autonomous ones that react to triggers, handle more complex steps. Think power users building sophisticated workflows.
Okay, more capability, potentially more risk to manage.
Potentially, yeah. And then at the top, you have the developers. This is your most technical group. They're building really sophisticated, often custom solutions using things like Team Toolkit, Azure AI Foundry.
These sound like enterprise-grade solutions.
Generally, yes. They're often designed for wider use and are typically managed centrally, maybe distributed through an IT catalog. So you see the progression. Personal automation to power user workflows to these big centrally deployed solutions.
Yeah, definitely. Which raises that big question. How do you govern such a diverse landscape?
Mhm.
Different tools, different creators, different capabilities.
Well, it means thinking in layers. Microsoft breaks down the controls into three main categories. It's not just one lever you pull.
Okay, layers. What are they?
So first, you've got tool controls. This is about managing the features within the tools people use to build agents. What functionalities are enabled or disabled. You'd manage this mostly in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, then the MC, and the Power Platform Admin Center, PPAC.
Right, controlling the creation environment itself.
Exactly. Then second, there are content controls. This is super important. It's about governing the information the agents can access, process, or even generate. Think data integrity, privacy, protecting sensitive stuff.
Where do you manage those?
That involves a few places, MAC, PPAC, but also crucially, Microsoft Purview and SharePoint Advanced Management.
Okay, purview coming into play there. And the third layer.
The third is agent management itself. So once an agent exists, how do you control and monitor it? Things like staged rollouts, getting usage reports, managing its lifecycle, deletion. That's primarily handled through the MASI.
Got it. Tool, content, agent.
Right. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, having these layers is what allows you to embrace these powerful agents while still maintaining a secure, compliant environment. It's about enabling safely.
Okay, that framework makes sense. So we have these layers. Now let's zoom in a bit. Where do these controls actually live? For listeners trying to navigate this, where's the main command center? Let's start with the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, the MSC. How does that fit in?
Yeah, the MSC is definitely a central hub. Think of it as your main control panel for pretty much everything M365.
Okay.
And that now includes governing these AI agents.
Hmm.
It's where admins monitor, configure, manage the whole environment, performance, security, compliance. And it's key because it governs both those simple end-user agents and the more formal IT catalog agents.
So what specific powers does it give you for agents?
Well, there's the Copilot control system that gives you broad oversight plus usage and inventory analytics. Really helpful for seeing adoption trends, understanding how agents are being used.
Okay, visibility.
Definitely. Then you have integrated apps. This is like a central inventory for almost all agents. SharePoint built ones are a bit different initially, but others show up here.
What kind of info do you get there?
When an agent's submitted for approval or comes from public store, you see its metadata, what it can do, its data sources, any custom actions. Admins can review all that, check compliance, and then decide, allow it or block it.
Okay, that's critical. And you mentioned public store apps. I know there's sometimes confusion about trust levels there. Can you clarify the difference between, say, publisher attested and Microsoft 365 certified?
Yeah, good question. That's really important for security. Publisher attested basically means the developer, the publisher, has self-certified that their app meets certain standards for security, authenticity, etc. It's their promise, their legal assertion.
Okay, so it's on them.
Right. Now, Microsoft 365's certification is a much higher bar. That means Microsoft itself has done a rigorous evaluation. They've checked it against stringent security, compliance, and performance requirements.
So much more vetting involved.
Much more. Think of it like attested as a promise, certified as like an independent audit, verifying that promise. Gives you much more confidence when you see that certification badge.
That's a great clarification. Now, what about those agents built directly in SharePoint? You said they were a bit different.
Right. For those, the foundational control is just SharePoint online content permissions. It's simple, really.
Yeah.
The agent inherits the permissions of the user running it. So if you can't access a specific site or document library, neither can your SharePoint agent. It can't bypass existing security. And interestingly, since the agents themselves are stored as files in SharePoint, those same permissions also control who can even access or manage the agent file itself.
Ah, clever. Built on existing structures.
Exactly. And building on that, you have SharePoint Advanced Management, or SAM. This gives you even more granular control, specifically over how Copilot interacts with SharePoint content.
What kind of control?
Well, a really powerful feature is the Restricted Content Discovery policy. This lets IT essentially make certain sites invisible to global search and Copilot indexing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you have, say, a highly sensitive M&A site, you can just wall it off completely from AI agents, even for internal searches. It's proactive data protection. SAM also gives you things like stricter site sharing controls and policies to block downloads, again, preventing data leakage.
That invisible wall idea is really powerful. Okay, so M uncovered. Let's shift gears to the other admin center you mentioned, the Power Platform Admin Center, or PPAC. Since Copilot Studio is a part of Power Platform, I guess PPAC is vital for governing those agents, especially for the makers.
Absolutely vital, yeah.
Yeah.
PPAC's where you manage those more sophisticated agents built in Copilot Studio. It plays several key roles. First, data loss prevention, DLP policies. These are critical.
Oh, so?
They let admins classify connectors, the pathways agents use to access data and services into groups like business, non-business, or just blocked. This stops agents from, say, sending sensitive internal data out through an unapproved social media connector. It prevents unwanted interactions and data exfiltration.
Right, defining the guardrails for data flow.
Precisely. Then there's cost management. As you scale up agent usage, you need to track consumption. PPAC lets you set up billing plans. You've got flexibility, traditional prepaid licenses, or this metered consumption model, which is more like pay-per-use, especially handy for users who don't have a full license.
And there's a difference in what you get based on licensing, right? Free versus premium Copilot chat.
Yes, very important distinction. The free unlicensed experience gives you basic, web-grounded answers, Q&A stuff. But the premium experience, the one that securely connects to your own organization's Microsoft 365 data, that absolutely requires either a license or that metered plan to be active.
Good to know. What else in PPAC?
Power Platform environment controls are fundamental. Environments like development, sandbox, production create isolated spaces.
Why is that important?
It allows for separation of duties, applying specific DLP policies per environment, role-based access, and proper application lifecycle management, or ALM. Admins can even set up dedicated personal dev environments for makers and send them welcome messages with policy info baked right in.
Kind of setting them up for success within the rules.
Exactly, and part of that ALM piece is pipelines. These are fantastic. They provide a governed, repeatable, secure way to move agents from development through testing into production.
Yeah.
Often you can build in a human approval step too.
Ensuring quality control before go live.
Right. And finally, PPAC gives you agent sharing and publishing controls. You can limit who an agent can be shared with co-authors, specific end-user groups, crucial for stopping accidental oversharing. And you can even disable the Publish button via connector management after an agent is live, preventing unauthorized updates or tampering.
Wow. Okay, so MAMI and PPAC provide a lot of the structural control, but you mentioned Purview earlier for content control. It sounds like we need something watching over the data itself, no matter what agent tries to touch it. Is that where Microsoft Purview steps in, like the ultimate data guardian?
That's a perfect way to put it, yes. Think of Purview as the overarching solution for data security, governance, and compliance across your M365 estate. Its job is to protect the data, regardless of how agents interact with it.
So how does it do that in the context of agents?
It has incredibly broad capabilities. First, it does proactive data protection. It classifies, labels, manages data sensitivity. And here's a nugget. It uses over 315 built-in and machine learning classifiers to automatically spot sensitive info, like PII, within agent interactions.
Automatically. That's powerful.
It is. It means the system can flag or even block access to sensitive data before a potential breach even happens. It's preventative.
Okay, so that's protection. What else?
Second, it acts as a risk detector through Data Security Posture Management, DSPM, for AI. This gives you amazing visibility into how agents are being used and helps you assess data risks.
Like what kind of risks?
For example, it can spot sensitive data being shared in agent chats, detect unusual patterns like the white paper mentions a departing employee having an unusual number of prompts with sensitive data, or even monitor for unethical interactions, like harassment using an agent. It's about spotting potential trouble early.
Wow, okay, that's quite specific.
It leads right into data loss prevention, DLP, within Purview itself. This enforces policies at the data level. For instance, if an agent tries to use a SharePoint file labeled highly confidential as grounding data, Purview can block it. The agent just won't process that sensitive file, and the user gets notified.
So the label on the data itself provides protection.
Exactly. Purview also does oversharing assessments, automatically checking SharePoint sites used by agents weekly by default to spot and flag risky sharing configurations.
Okay, protection, risk detection. What's the third piece?
The third piece is robust forensic and compliance capabilities. Information protection automatically discovers and labels data, and importantly, agents respect these labels. They'll cite sensitivity labels and responses, honor encryption rights, and even label entire conversations based on the most sensitive data discussed. Then you have insider risk management, looking for risky user activities involving AI, communication compliance, scanning interactions for policy violations like harmful content or data disclosure, and full e-discovery and audit capabilities.
So you can investigate incidents?
Absolutely. You can review interactions for legal holds, and there are detailed audit logs of everything: who prompted, when, what was said. And finally, data lifecycle management lets you set retention and deletion policies for all this interaction data to meet legal needs. It's truly end-to-end data governance.
That is a comprehensive suite for the data itself. Okay, so we've covered the tools, the controls, the data protection. What does this all mean for you, the listener, if you're actually thinking about rolling out agents or trying to get a better handle on governing them? Microsoft suggests a phased approach, which sounds helpful.
Yeah, it's very practical. They break it down into 3 phases. Phase I is form a team. Basically, create a small group of agent adoption champions in IT, early adopters who are keen.
Okay, start small.
Exactly. Give them Copilot licenses, enable the extensibility features for them in the MEC, and their first job. Build maybe one organization-wide agent using Agent Builder. The goal is to test the waters, validate your best practices, learn from it before going big.
Makes sense. Learn by doing. What's phase 2?
Phase 2, train employees. Now you start gradually enabling agent development for more people, maybe starting with just web-grounded agents first, alongside structured training. You control who gets access via MC security groups. You might enable some proof-of-concept agent usage via PPAC to gather insights.
And this is where that center of excellence comes in.
Precisely. A critical nugget for this phase is establishing a center of excellence. COE, your champion team might lead it initially. The COE defines the standards, sets up approval processes, shares best practices. It provides the guardrails so people can innovate safely.
Okay, build the framework. And phase 3.
Phase 3, deploy and engage. Now, you identify and train specific departmental makers who need to work with critical business data. You set up those pay-as-you-go meters per department in Copilot Studio, and you use PPAC to limit sharing, preventing agents from spreading too widely.
Controlling scope.
Right. Then you formalize the process for approving organization-wide agents the COE evaluates. IT uses the ANG-C to block or unblock based on policy. And the final, ongoing step is to monitor usage and spending in PPAC. Maybe set up alerts so costs don't run away from you.
That phased approach really does make it feel more manageable. It's clear these agents are genuinely changing how work gets done, automating the tedious stuff, standardizing processes, helping collaboration. It frees people up for higher value thinking.
It really does. And if we connect this back to the big picture, it really highlights the crucial role IT pros and decision makers have now. They're not just gatekeepers, they're enablers. They foster this innovation by building these robust governance frameworks.
Yeah.
And it's important to stress, governance isn't about stopping creativity. It's about providing that secure, compliant runway for these powerful technologies to really take off and integrate properly. It turns potential chaos into, well, controlled transformation.
That's a great way to frame it. So what does this all mean for you listening? Maybe take a moment to consider how understanding these different interwoven layers of governance, the tools, the content, the agents themselves, the data protection with Purview, how that understanding could empower your own organization. It's really about embracing AI agents with confidence, turning those challenges we talked about at the start into real opportunities for secure, efficient, and truly innovative digital evolution.